as long as you come across all lovey and sort of, silken haired, whether it's Ardern or Trudeau, you can do the most vicious things to your public. And wow, did they do it.
Welcome back to Moose on the Loose. My name's David. Today we've got Australian news who absolutely obliterates Justin Trudeau. They have these different segments. One of them's lefties losing it. There's another one where they basically make fun of lefty woke prime ministers and presidents around the world, and Justin Trudeau is a major target of this. I had a video on this maybe a couple weeks ago. They have another one, and they bring on this guy into the panel, and he just goes absolutely nuclear on this guy, obliterates Trudeau. On top of that, we've got many other smaller stories, so let's jump into this.
Now, it's been a while since we talked about Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the neo-Marxist Ken doll, as I call him. He's in some serious trouble, Douglas. This week, his party lost a by-election in one of the safest Liberal seats in the country, in Toronto, St. Paul. And Trudeau's minority government is badly trailing the Conservatives in the polls. Is this the end for Trudeau, Douglas? Have the Canadian people finally woken up to the performative caring that lacks any real substance?
You absolutely put your finger on it, Rita. Performative caring. That's all that Justin Trudeau does. It's very hard to find a true thing he's ever said or a sincere thing he's ever said. The man is entirely artifice. He's an utter bimbo, a phrase that maybe one wouldn't use of a female politician these days, but I'm happy to use of Justin Trudeau. He's so grotesquely... He's a himbo, I suppose. I was in Canada last week in a couple of cities, and I can't tell you, Rita, the detestation that you find for Trudeau across the political board. A vast majority of Canadians want him to stand down now. He has really impressive opposition now. I think that Pierre, Poilievre, and the others on the Conservative side that are coming along, they're very impressive people are now facing off against Trudeau. I think he's absolutely toast because finally, we've got to that stage where being a sort of superannuated drama teacher, turns out you can fool some people for a little while, but not for all that long. Everyone in Canada who wants to see through Justin Trudeau has seen through him. I don't think anyone will regret finally seeing the back of him.
He was the biggest media darling in the world there for quite some time, though, Douglas. He had a very long honeymoon indeed. Him and Jacinda Ardern and you beautifully described them with that tag of performative caring, because that's what it was. It was all style, no substance. You look at the policies they instituted, they weren't helping people, but they were fated as these new age leaders who were full of compassion and empathy. But yeah, there's not much of that.
It's interesting, Rita, isn't it? And people should be aware of this. The amount you can get away with that is cruel and sometimes evil if you wrap it up in this particular style of politics. As long as you come across all lovey and sort of, silken haired, whether it's Ardern or Trudeau, you can do the most vicious things to your public. And wow, did they do it.
Oh, they did. And during COVID, we discussed that at length. And now I want to go to the UK. Actor.
That's wild. These two just brutally destroyed Trudeau. That's wow. This guy articulated that quite well. I can't believe he brought up that point about being so cruel to the population, but wrapping it in that blanket of phony politics, the compassion, all that garbage that's all fake. It's as simple as this. Either Trudeau is history or Canada is. This is such a great comment. Trudeau kicked the woke narcissist out of office. I don't want him to be toast in the next election. I want him to be criminally charged and in prison for his crimes against me and my fellow Canadians. Canadians are bloody sick of Trudeau. We've got another clip here of Australian news where it's funny to see what they're watching, which clips they bring up from the House of Commons. They really love Pierre Poilievre in Australia here on Sky News.
Good morning, bonjour, and welcome to Outsiders, the show that is to woke identity politics, left-wing elitism, and virtue-signalling hypocrites what Canadian opposition leader Pierre Poilievre is to Justin Trudeau.
The Conservatives continue to protect the wealthiest instead of supporting Canadians.
The honourable leader of the opposition.
That's a little bit rich coming from him as he raises taxes on single moms for the crime of driving to the grocery store while he treats himself to a jet-setting experience where the food on the plane of a 6-day trip was $220,000. Beef brisket, parsley potatoes with truffle oil, beef tenderloin with port wine sauce, braised lamb shanks, and even cheesecake with pistachio brittle. Mr. Speaker, with Canadians lined up at the food bank, what's on the menu for this Prime Minister this summer?
The best opposition leader in the world, bar none. It's the pistachio brittle.
There you have it, the best opposition leader in the world, straight from the Australian news. So next up, Marty up north shared this clip. This is one, I actually made a video on this, the very second video on my channel. It got taken down, and I think it's because the music in the background. I've got a way of removing music in the background now. So this is a very interesting video because it shows Justin Trudeau's groomsmen and how they're related to him in Parliament.
This is a photo of Justin Trudeau's wedding party. Let's examine some of the faces here. Here's Gerald Butts. Justin Trudeau made him principal secretary in the Prime Minister's office, where he made an undisclosed salary, but charged thousands of dollars in moving expenses to Canadians to move from Toronto to Ottawa, and likely collected severance when he was forced to resign over his involvement in the SNC-Lavalin corruption scandal.
This is ridiculous. $200,000 to move from Toronto to Ottawa. I moved from St. Catharines, Ontario to Vancouver Island for $3,000. So that's ridiculous.
Despite resigning in disgrace, Butts returned to work on the Liberal Party's national campaign in 2019, while his new employer, Eurasia Group, has received a series of untendered, sole-sourced contracts from the Trudeau government. Here is Seamus O'Regan. Justin Trudeau made him Minister of Veterans Affairs, then Minister of Indigenous Services, and now Minister of Natural Resources.
That's so ridiculous. These guys should have actual skill sets and knowledge in these divisions, not just, oh, here, you're my buddy from my wedding. Here, you can be in charge of this that you know nothing about. These people are all losers and boneheads.
At each portfolio, Justin's friend Seamus has failed. He failed in previous ministries, getting into trouble for his comments about veterans, getting into lawsuits with veterans, and posting vanity photos of himself flying on private jets. Speaking of private trips, O'Regan failed to disclose his luxurious vacation to Aga Khan's private island, alongside Justin Trudeau. Before giving We Charity over $900 million in government money, O'Regan and Trudeau's chief of staff, Katie Telford, helped raise We Charity over $400,000. And of course, We Charity went on to pay Justin's mom over $250,000, his brother over $32,000, and his wife over $24,000. Seamus O'Regan is well known as Trudeau's worst minister, jumping from position to position. Luckily for him, his failures don't matter when you're friends with the groom. Here's Mark Miller. A lifelong friend to Justin Trudeau, he was made first a parliamentary secretary and then Minister of Indigenous Services, where he failed to keep Trudeau's promise to eliminate all drinking water advisories on First Nation reserves. He also admitted to knowing about at least one of Trudeau's blackface incidents, saying, "I was there." He only admitted to this after the blackface photos became public. Mark and Justin grew up together. They went to the same elite private school and gallivanted all over the world with each other. Under Justin Trudeau, Canada's government is spending more and getting worse results. Under Justin Trudeau, Liberal insiders are getting rich, while Canadians fall behind.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. It's like, this is so corrupt. The whole We Charity thing too. It's like so much money given to family members. Someone's got to go to jail. Next up, we got this clip here from CBC from 2015 of Stephen Harper and Rosemary Barton, who I did not recognize. Josh Ryan little more savage with the the wording here. It says, back when Rosie was slimmer, before glutting out with the Liberals, PM Harper spoke about what the future would be like under Justin Trudeau, endless spending and deficits. 9 years later, we have exactly what Harper predicted.
But look, on the question of deficits, this economy is growing. We already have a balanced budget. We had a balanced budget last year. Auditor General has said that. If we're going to be the kind of country that starts going into deficit, even when the economy is growing, we return to deficit. We know in the past that is a recipe for permanent deficits because, look, once you lose the anchor of a balanced budget, you're always under pressure to just spend more and not cover it. We don't need to go back to that.
But why are 3 deficits the definition of permanent deficits and 6 deficits
well, they're not
are
three.
not?
They're not 3. Nothing's going to magically balance the budget after 3 years. When you increase spending to that level, what you're going to do is you're going to do a combination if you eventually try and fix it, you're going to do a combination of tax hikes, of ongoing borrowing, or of cuts. In fact, in the Liberal platform, there is a line item, even in the Liberal platform, which doesn't add up, there's a line item of $6.5 billion of undefined cuts that are
Well, they plan to cut some of your boutique tax credits, for instance. They make other choices.
Well, that's the kind of choice that's the kind of policy they are running on. Let's raise taxes on families. Those are tax benefits. We've been able to do a bunch of things, income splitting for families and seniors, universal child care benefit, tax-free savings accounts, fitness credits, the registered education savings plans enhancements. These are all good things for Canadians, for the middle class. I know they want to take them away, but I think that's the wrong choice for Canadians. They're going to take these things away and give Canadians a bunch of things that aren't actually paid for. And we know where the previous government, Liberal government, led us with that, and that was eventually to big tax hikes and a bunch of benefit cuts that we don't need to do.
Just think part of the reason Harper lost that election is because Trudeau had better hair. Trudeau probably would have lost the election if he had this hair. What's interesting about this interview is obviously Rosemary Barton's pushing back. She was woke back then. If you look here, she's actually quite nervous. Look at her fingers here. Fidgeting hands tell a lot. It's like a cat's tail. A cat's tail gets all wiggly when it's all full of energy, and then they start getting the zoomies and running everywhere. When you get a lot of pent-up energy, you got to get it out somewhere. Sometimes if it's extra stress, it's coming out in your hands. Or in the case of Chrystia Freeland, it's all the, that she does during all her press conferences. I used to hate this man, but now it seems innocuous in comparison to Trudeau. I bet the Liberals have no idea what he's talking about.
You like the direction that Canada is headed in with Justin Trudeau leading the country?
You know what? I don't.
Okay.
It's because I feel sorry for you kids.
Okay.
A few years ago, Justin Trudeau borrowed $140 billion from the British Crown.
Yeah.
That you nor your grandchildren are ever going to be able to pay back. Why? Because our country's broke, guys. Think about it. We relied on the oil sands as the lifeblood to take care of most of the infrastructure in this country. It's now gone. As much as this dirty oil was a problem, it floated the east. It kept PEI afloat. Look, that's a lot of money every month we've lost. It's in the tens of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
This country, like the United States, is broke, and we share a symbiotic relationship with their economy. We're heading to war, believe it or not. Believe it or not, son, you're going to be strapping a rifle on yourself, and I feel sorry for you. Because every third generation forgets, and you're the generation that forgets.
Okay.
Every 3 generations, the fourth goes to war because we forgot the first 3. He's heading us into war.
Wow, that's quite the take there. The guy's got it spot on. It's true, though. I've never heard that said before, that every 3 generations is when they forget and the fourth has to go to conflict. Thinking about it, though, my grandfather was in the second global conflict with the little funny mustache guy. And yeah, he was put in one of those camps. He had to escape from one of those camps. Most of the other people that were in the cage with him did not survive. I remember my grandfather telling us those stories when I was a kid. He didn't talk about it very often because it brought back so much sadness, but counted down 3 generations, the fourth one just won't have the same emotional effect to it. Then you got a guy like Justin Trudeau who's got an entire team of people and they're just trying their best. They did it before, to dupe people, trick them to get into power. and now he's trying to do everything possible to limit free speech in this country. Next up, we've got this interesting post here. It says Premier Doug Ford has kicked out Iranian-Canadian MP Goldie Kamari out of the Progressive Conservative Caucus after she met with controversial British activist Tommy Robinson. So if you didn't follow that, Tommy Robinson, I had a little brief clip in it a couple of videos ago. He came to do a couple speeches in Canada. He's a right-wing British activist. And then in Calgary, they randomly arrested him. It was like some bogus charges that kept him held. He wasn't allowed to go up to Edmonton where he was supposed to speak. He's a guy who speaks about free speech, and then they limited his free speech. You just make the guy more popular and more powerful by doing that. So she spoke with him. Doug Ford kicked her out. This is stirring up a lot of, let's look at the comments here. This is disgusting and the last straw in my books. First Roman Barber, now Goldie. Freedom of speech and thought is dead in Canada. Ford is indeed a liberal. Yet all sorts of people on all levels of government meet with CPP operatives on the regular. At Ford Nation, you're an absolute disgrace. You're just a liberal under clothing of a conservative. So a whole bunch of people here calling Doug Ford a liberal or Trudeau or you name it. Doug Ford showed his colors. Yeah, it's not really going over too well there, Doug Ford. Doug Ford's already in hot water because there's a science center that they announced that they're shutting down or whatever. And then a bunch of people came forward and said, hey, I'll offer $500,000. I'll offer $8 million. All these people saying they'd pay for it. And it seems like maybe it's just a scheme to get that out of there so developers can build on it and make a ton of money. We'll see what happens with Doug Ford.
Yes, we are going to unite our country. We're going to unite based on freedom. Freedom is our nationality in Canada. Unlike other countries that define their nationality by ethnicity, race, religion, we define it by our shared and common freedom. The current government has they follow an ideology that divides people into different groups based on gender, race, vaccine status, region, whether they try to divide business owners against workers. They try to seek any division they can in order to make people forget they can't afford their rent. And I think we need to put an end to that approach. We need to give everybody more freedom over their own decisions to live their own lives and chart their own course. I don't want to run people's lives. I want to run the government. I want to allow you all to make your own free decisions so that you can cooperate with your fellow citizens to exchange work for wages, product for payment, investment for interest. You decide your religion, your values, how you raise your kids, how you spend your money. We leave people with the freedom to make their own decisions. We have maximum harmony because nobody feels like they're being bulldozed over by anyone else. And that's the approach that I'm going to take to unite our country around our proud history and for a future of freedom and opportunity. Thank you.
Meanwhile, you got Justin Trudeau dancing at the night market. I'm surprised he didn't join in on that pride parade. Meanwhile, we got Pierre Poilievre here with some real common sense words. It's just nice to hear it for once. We've got this post here. It says a Brampton woman is asking, where can these international students go? Where can they go? The government needs to figure something out. Yes, she's correct. Canada is in a housing crisis caused by mass immigration, including international students. The answer is they can go back to their country. No, this is not racist for all the snowflakes that they claim it is. This is a good take, and a lot of the international students are mostly from India. They get duped. They don't realize what kind of situation they're coming into. And a lot of them are having to pay fees and stuff to these slime bosses to even come in here. They're just getting taken advantage of. And then they're left with this, where they're sleeping in tents on the side of the street, 20 of them in like a 1 or 2 or 3 bedroom place, sleeping side by side on the floor.
Look at our streets. Look what has become of our streets. And this is all because of people not having anywhere to go.
So this woman just rambles really slowly, but yeah, I mean, there's tents everywhere. And this could be solved tomorrow by Mark Miller by just ending the immigration, just cutting it all off. Keep it open for necessary foreign workers from construction and whatever industries, and that's it. But they're not going to do that because they're trying to destroy our country. Otherwise, they would stop it. There's no other reason to do this. The universities need the revenue from foreign students' tuition to pay woke leftist gender studies psych profs 6-figure salaries. Exactly. It's just a big money scheme. They're taking advantage of all these people from India and lacing their own pockets. I'm sure Justin Trudeau is buddy-buddy with all the higher-ups in all the universities that are making piles of cash from this. We got a clip of homelessness in Canada. I'm probably going to have to mute that, but yeah, this guy's riding a bike. Like, they drop off a porta potty. Here you go, guys. Just live in your tents. Trudeau's Canada right here. This is a full-blown Trudeau town. This is crazy. Look how many tents there are here. This is literally a town. This is a Trudeau town. It's so sad. So look in the comments here. This is in Kelowna, BC. As Zoltan says here, it wasn't like this 10 years ago. Yeah, last time I was in Kelowna, it wasn't like that at all. Jumping over to my group, let's see what memes we've got here today. Wanted for treason, Anita all-inclusive Anand by reason of inelligibly funding initiatives by SDCT in the name of the climate crisis and using her position to award her husband's company millions of dollars in contracts. Yeah, that's another scandal. Wanted for treason, Francois-Philippe Champagne by reason of being an overdramatic who fully supports the occupation of Canada by the Liberal Party using climate change fear-mongering. Wanted for treason, Sean the Failure Fraser, by reason of being a complete screw-up as the immigration and housing minister and through his actions in both positions causing a double crisis. There it is. Klaus Schwab at the top. Yep, that sounds about right. Known members of the Liberal caucus to have ties with the WEF. Let's just make that bigger for you guys. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch. Champagne, Randy Balsanout, Pascal Guilbeault. I mean, all of Trudeau's right-hand guys here. You got Wilkinson, Sean Fraser, Mark Miller, Mark Holland. I'm not surprised that Ahmed is on there. Melanie Jolie. It's all of them. Dominic LeBlanc, Karina Gould, Anita Nand, Seamus O'Regan, Trudeau's groomsman. And Bill Morneau is Bill No More. There you have it. Australian news absolutely destroying Trudeau. Not only are there people a little bit more loose-lipped, so are their news hosts. So, which makes for great content when they're ripping Trudeau. So, thanks for watching the end of the video here. I greatly appreciate all of you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll keep fighting for freedom. I'll see you guys in the next one.